David Bird here, the Connection Coach, and in this video I want to talk to you about motivation and sticking to plans. So I was having a conversation with someone recently about some lifestyle changes she wanted to make. She wanted to quit drinking, quit smoking, start exercising more, looking after herself a bit better, all that kind of thing. But she'd been struggling to do it on her own. And so in talking to her a bit about what she was looking for, she said to me, I just need someone to be accountable to. I need someone to monitor me. I was like, okay, interesting. I was like, well, what would that give you? And she said, well, I wouldn't want to let you down. I was like, oh, interesting. I was like, well, what happens if you do then? Because I already know that she's been trying to do this on her own and she's not been doing it. So I was curious, like, what happens if you do? And she said to me, well, I'd give you a reason and then we talk about it. I'm like, so you'd give me an excuse? And she's like, no, I'd give you a reason. I'm like, well, potato. Anyway, we had a bit of a laugh about it, but what she said there was really quite telling. See, the way I see it, she was hoping that I could be a bigger stick. And what I mean by that is she's hoping that the pain of letting me down is going to somehow be worse than the pain of making the changes the way she thinks they need to be made. So let me say that again. She's hoping that the pain of letting me down is going to be worse than making the changes the way she thinks they need to be made. But see, I know that's not going to work because she's already told me that if she doesn't quit or doesn't make those changes, that she's just going to give me a reason and then we'll talk about it. So she's already kind of built that way out into that strategy. And my sense is this is exactly what has been happening with how she's been managing it on her own, that she likely tries to change or quit or whatever the way she's been doing it, the way she thinks it should happen. It doesn't work. She likely feels that she's let herself down, but she finds a reason for it. And then she probably goes back trying to do it the same way, probably just trying harder. And so she's hoping that by introducing me into the equation, as in adding more pain, more of a stick, as it were, more of an away from motivation, that'll make it better. But in my experience, that doesn't work. Some people work very well with a kind of stick motivation, but for most people, it doesn't, and it's not very sustainable. The mind tries to avoid it in any way possible. What I also know about people is that they're always doing what makes sense to them on some level, even if it's not logical sense. So it could be that the reason she's not quitting all those things and making those changes is because she's bloody exhausted. It could be that it's the only way she gets comfort. It could be that just the way that she's seeing, the way she's going about it is, not ideal for her, and maybe there's a better way. But if she doesn't see that, then her mind is going to keep her doing what she's doing. And for me, trying to add in more pain as a way of motivation, like it's the equivalent of like if you're trying to bang your head against a brick wall to get through it, you could bang harder, but you're probably just going to end up with a bloody mess. So, do you resonate with anything I've talked about in this video? Do you struggle with motivation or with sticking to plans or anything like that? If you do, drop me a comment, send me a DM or anything like that. I'd love to hear from you.